Hello everyone, Max here with Fiction Rant to bring you part 6 of my Halo vs. Mass Effect matchup. This section will cover the unique advantages of each side. Starting with Halo, I'm going to reiterate that this isn't everything from the Halo universe, just the UNSC and the Sangheili Alliance immediately following Halo 3 and continuing into the time period of Halo Infinite. Basically all the factions that actually ended up being allied with humanity. The most obvious advantage of the Halo universe is the inclusion of the Covenant races, including grunts, elites, hunters, and buggers. Each of these species comes with their own pros and cons, with buggers and grunts being basically good for cannon fodder and not much else. They're dangerous on their own, but nothing particularly scary aside from the fact that buggers can fly. Elites have superhuman strength, capable even bludgeoning humans in power armor to death, and hunters are basically walking tanks, complete with nearly indestructible armor and fuel rod cannons, which are basically siege weapons. Another advantage is that the UNSC in particular makes wide use of AI, coming in two varieties, smart and dumb. Dumb AI are basically just computers with personalities. They're powerful but not particularly creative. Smart AI is relatively hard to produce, requiring the brain of a genius to produce, incidentally typically requiring the death of said genius prior to the creation of the AI. Cortana was a notable exception, being created from the cloned brain of Dr. Halsey, who created the Spartans. In any case, smart AI are crazy powerful computing machines, even being capable of innovation and hacking enemy technology. For example, following the events of Halo 1, Master Chief and a handful of Marines managed to capture a Covenant cruiser, because they're awesome, which Cortana was then able to modify, just changing software around to dramatically increase the refire rate of the cruiser's plasma cannons. Speaking of the Master Chief, the UNSC also makes use of a limited supply of Spartans. Depending on the type you're talking about, results vary, but Spartan 2s are basically just the best. But in any case, they're always highly trained soldiers in power armor with some level of physical augmentation. Each is a force to be reckoned with, and together they're quite a formidable fighting force. Finally, I'd like to talk about Covenant engineers. These creatures are totally non-combat, but are also one of the greatest Covenant assets because they can assemble and disassemble anything, and once they've done so to a piece of technology, they understand it completely and can duplicate it. Basically, if an engineer gets a hold of your tech, the Covenant now has that tech. This is the reason for a lot of backstory things like you hear about the Cole Protocol in Halo 1. That was basically just you encountered the Covenant, delete everything in your computer's memory banks, particularly your navigation history, because if you get captured, we're in big trouble. Moving on to Mass Effect and the Citadel factions, the biggest unique advantage that Mass Effect has is all related to Element Zero and Mass Effect fields, which basically do everything. They can be used to reduce or increase the mass of objects, leading to everything from artificial gravity, faster than light travel, to their firearms, shields, biotics, everything. Basically, everything cool in Mass Effect, aside from the people, is because of Element Zero and the Mass Effect fields. Mass Effect fields allow you to cheat physics. With them, you can use what amounts to telekinesis through biotics. You can fire a railgun with truly terrifying power without vaporizing yourself in the process, and you can do plenty of quality of life stuff like lightening your gear or make your punches land harder. Mass Effect also has a variety of interesting species with their own quirks, just like the Covenant. In particular, the Asari are all biotic, though not all bother training the ability much, and the Krogan, who are basically just crazy. Here's a list of some of their physical traits. Their skin is so thick and tough that they're nearly impervious to cuts and scrapes. They have redundant organs. They can store nutrients like a camel to the point where a 55-gallon tank of water could sustain an entire colony of Krogan for 10 years. They're superhumanly strong. They have extraordinary toughness and regenerative capabilities, allowing them to live over 1,000 years if unmolested. They can enter a blood rage state where they become totally unaware of pain and can shrug off crippling injuries, though they lose some rationality and self-restraint while in this state. It's a testament to how scary Krogan are that the Salarian response to the threat that they pose to the entire galaxy was to infect them all with the genophage, making it so that the odds of birthing a female Krogan are only about 1 in 2,000. That said, females also could produce about 1,000 fertilized eggs per year, so yeah, without the genophage, Krogan can reproduce insanely fast, and they're scary. On the computational front, the Alliance has the ability to create AI, but has a massive stigma against doing so. It's actually illegal because of the existential threat that they represent, so EDI, despite being in the games, is an anomaly. The clearest example of this existential threat is, of course, the Geth, who won the war against their Quarian creators so thoroughly that the Quarians were reduced to a migrant fleet with no homeworld. So yeah, EDI only exists because of Cerberus, her creator, and they don't care about Citadel rules. Other miscellaneous advantages on the Mass Effect side include things like quantum entanglement communications, which allows them to communicate over any distance instantly, though it's really expensive, so the application of the tech is really limited. I don't think it really counts as much of an advantage. There's also the Lazarus Project, which allows the resurrection of the dead, but again, it's absurdly expensive and time-consuming, so it's basically a one-off. That said, the technology is there to restore the memories and brain function to dead tissue, so that's pretty neat. And that's all I've got for now. Let me know in the comments if I missed something I should have talked about on either side. Again, I'll reiterate that the comments are invaluable for catching things that I miss or misunderstand because my knowledge is pretty broad, but certainly not exhaustive. Speaking of the comments section, I'd like to give a shout out to @Slate8409, who pointed out that the Geth utilize plasma weaponry in Mass Effect. So there's an actual, not quite, one-to-one analog for seeing how well Mass Effect defenses work against plasma weaponry. I say not quite one-to-one because the plasma is different, like how it operates between the universes, but at least the principle is there. My takeaway from this new information is basically that plasma weaponry would in fact be extraordinarily effective against Mass Effect armor and shields, but not to the level of rendering it useless. Basically, the armor and shields for Mass Effect would provide some kind of degree of protection against plasma weaponry, but not much, so repeated hits would absolutely overwhelm those defenses, but at the same time, plasma shots wouldn't just one-shot Mass Effect personnel. So thank you so much to @Slate8409 for pointing it out and helping me out on this. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments if I've missed something important, or if you think that the Hanar would absolutely be the deciding factor in the conflict, and until next time, live long and prosper, and may the Force be with you.